it's good to see you all online and in person as well. So thanks to everyone who's for attending as well, and I hope you enjoyed the event. So before I talk about my event about mental health and driving change within the tech industry, I'll tell you a little bit about the BCS. So the BCS is an organisation both in the UK with branches worldwide as well. So we're the South Yorkshire BCS branch, where we have on the committee tonight, we have myself, I'm the Diversity and Inclusion Officer for BCS, so wanting to encourage people to develop careers for more walks of life in IT, but also helping to make IT more accessible as well. We also have Shahzad Zagari, who is the Vice Chair of the branch, and we also have one of our committee members, Farmini, as well, who is also doing some really good stuff within the BCS, as well as some of the organisations as well, which we support. For example, for Women in Tech Society and Cyber Women at Shoe Society. So we also do some projects as well to help outside of our committee meetings and outside of events. For example, sponsoring an organisation called SteelCon as well, to encourage young people to develop careers in IT and cybersecurity every year as well, plus other sort of outreach projects as well. So I'm going to start to introduce the talk now as well. So yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's good. So
just let me share this. Okay.
So yeah, just right to the top. So you just go back a bit. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So So without further ado, I'm going to introduce deliver a talk tonight about mental health and time for change in the tech industry. So mental health, as well as being a software tester, as well as being involved with BCS, is something I'm really, really passionate about. There are reasons why I am involved with mental health, and I've been delivering talks about mental health in IT as well for the last sort of six or so years as well, at different organisations, including some universities, some the British Computer Society, and other networking events as well within software testing within IT as well. So it's something I do because I enjoy it, but also spread mental health awareness throughout organisations, not just the tech industry as well. So I'm going to give a little sort of a warning as well. There is a part of the presentation which deals with suicide, so I just thought to make you aware of it before continuing as well. Without further ado, I'll talk about some of the challenges faced with different people in the tech industry as well. So a lot of time within software development, there's a lot of projects and a lot of pressure for software developers, software testers, software support people to actually develop, test, and make sure software is shipped out using different methodologies like Agile and another method and other sort of ways of working as well. So a lot of the time there's sort of deadlines and pressures to complete so many different tasks all at once. You could be working on either one project focused on that, or working on different projects all together as well. So you might be working on one project for a few hours, then another project for a few hours as well, trying to make sure that everything's completed to deadlines as well, because we need to meet demands, we need to meet legislation, we need to meet what our clients want as well. We need to make sure that the project's working as well to a satisfactory level as well. We also make sure that when we develop the software, it's got to work and it's got to be, and the client has got to use it. So we have the time pressures and the deadlines. Sometimes at very, very short notice, when you find problems with software, you have to deliver a hot fix to the software to get it out there because it's deemed very, very important or critical. And that could be a lot of pressure on organisation or on software developers to actually get the work done to a good standard. Oops.
Sorry.
You can't see Andy.
You can't see it.
Oh,
Okay.
you can't. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
You can. We can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Oh.
Okay, sorry.
So, yeah. So, yeah, so the next, so another concern is that a lot of software developers, especially working from home, can work in isolation, coding away, developing software, trying to do unit tests, make sure the software actually works as well as switching to another project as well. And a lot of the time, the work is sort of quite focused, specific, and you have to concentrate as well, making sure the work's done. Sometimes a software tester or someone could come and sort of raise bugs and stuff like that, which particularly if it's difficult to fix. If it's difficult to fix as well, if the bug is not very easily reproducible, they will have to sort of concentrate on sort of finding that way of how to replicate specific bugs so that they can actually fix it properly so that it doesn't work, doesn't cause any more problems. A lot of the time, many software developers will work extra hours as well just to get the job done. I know a lot of software developers, a lot of respect for them, and a lot of them do work really, really hard. And many of them who have worked with work ridiculous hours, so they'll work the hours they're contracted to do, but they'll work extra hours as well, sometimes in the evenings, sometimes at weekends, just to try and make sure that the software is working, make sure that they're meeting deadlines, making sure that the software is going to be workable, and making sure that any software fixes are actually put into place as well. Sometimes at ridiculously short notice as well. And many of them as well will check emails during breaks. We'll actually work through the lunch breaks as well. We'll actually not make time for themselves. So the work to break ratios as well can be very, very challenging, especially if you're in a team that's very, very short staffed, or you're one of the developers got so much knowledge of the system, so much knowledge of the development, you're like a subject matter expert, and you don't find it easy just to sort of take a break sometimes, just to go back to work clear and fresh, because everything needs to be done at a specific point in time as well. And a lot of the time, many bugs can occur with the software as well. Sometimes very unclear steps by people who've raised bugs, customers raised bugs who say who'll write something, who'll write this bug doesn't work, this piece of software doesn't work, without actually giving sort of like steps to actually replicate it to help make their lives easier. So it can be quite tiring, it can be quite exhausting. Reducing hours can be very difficult depending on the organisations that you work in as well. Sometimes a lot of developers will think we can't sort of reduce the hours because things need to be done. There's so many projects that need to be done. There's so many deadlines we need to be done. Which can take its toll on a lot of software developers. So now I'm going to focus on testing. So I'm one of the testers, and we have similar problems as well. So we have the deadlines at the time pressure to test software and give it and make sure it's working with decent quality. Once I worked at the place I worked, I was told to do a whole the whole system for 4 days to actually test it all. It was Wednesday night, about 4 p.m. We were told this piece of software, all the software has to be tested because we're releasing it Tuesday evening. That put a lot of pressure on us as a testing team to actually test the software and make sure that it was working properly. We did it, and we got it out the door about 4 p.m. on Tuesday. We signed it off and said this is all working, but it put a lot of pressure on us to sort of test everything, and at ridiculously short notice, making sure that we covered the necessary areas which needs to be done. So with testing, trying to test every single thing is almost virtually impossible to do, because there's so many ways bugs can be introduced into a system. If you run all the tests, and even if all of them pass, you're still not going to guarantee that there's no bugs in the system. There's probably going to be some bugs which you haven't found. It's like something that appears that you're not actually looking for. It's easy to miss something that you're not looking for as well. So we've got everything tested, we've got everything completed, but there's just so much pressure in having to run 400 test scripts just to try and test everything. And it meant as well working a little later each day as well, just to get everything done. A lot of the time there's a lot of unrealistic expectations where we're expected to know the system, we're expected to work on very, very unclear or woolly requirements, which may not make sense. So we need to sort of double check everything. We may need to sometimes ask questions as well, just to sort of clarify things, or only to be met sometimes with this is how it should work, and not actually looking at things sort of like it from a deeper end, because a lot of the time projects can be busy, developers can be busy, project managers, business analysts can be busy trying to get things done, so they don't always have time to sort of go through requirements or make them more clear as well, to make it easier for people to understand. Developers can also be very busy as well. So I've got a lot of respect for software developers, and a lot of my close friends are developers as well. And I do feel that a lot of them work their socks off and do really well. But sometimes trying to get hold of a developer has been very difficult in the past, because they've been busy, they've needed to concentrate, and they've needed to sort of complete a task as well. So speaking to them about how the software should work is not always easy to do, which can take its toll on testers. And a lot of testers feel like they're the only ones really looking after making sure the systems of a decent quality. The next thing, some testers and organisations can get bullied or being told how to do the jobs, which can be quite frustrating. I've experienced it a few times by project managers, by software developers, and it is a bit demoralising, especially when you're testing everything you can. Someone spots a bug and says, "You should have found this bug. Why aren't you doing your job properly?" Or telling people sort of how to do the job or how to test. It's demoralising, it's demotivating, and it's a little condescending. And a lot of organisations will have sort of like high developer to tester ratio. So the ideal developer to tester ratio should be 2 developers to 1 tester, or ideally, in the perfect world, 1 developer to 1 tester. But many organisations have many developers, but only like few testers as well. So a lot of the organisations that I've worked in before seem to have more developers focusing on different areas of software development, but I think that testing can cover a lot of things, even though in testing there's a lot of different roles within testing, like automation, security testing, testing actual physical devices, the functional testing, accessibility testing. But for some reason, a lot of businesses seem to think testing covers a multitude of roles, and you can argue that yes, it does, but at the same time, that pressure also takes its toll on a lot of testers as well. And a lot of the time, when at the moment a lot of companies go through redundancies, and they'll seem to think, "Hang on a minute, you're a tester. We'll put you at risk of redundancy because developers are seen as more important. The software support people who support the system seem more important. The people responsible for the infrastructure of the network are important as well. But testers, a lot of people think that testing can be easily done when it can't. Organisations like Microsoft and some of the other organisations don't actually have, from my understanding, but I don't want Microsoft to come and try and sue me if I sort of say something that's maybe a little exaggerated, but some organisations don't actually have sort of testers as such, or think that people within the business can actually test, when sometimes the tester who actually prevents defects from entering the system looks at requirements to sort of say, hang on a minute, these requirements don't make sense, or pass it over to get them reworded and rectified. A lot of the time, they seem to think that organisations don't always seem to see the value of testing, or when there's a specific testing that needs to be done, like automation testing, they'll see it as a silver bullet. This will solve all our problems, but when they realise it needs work to generate decent return on investment, they'll think there's too much work in it, we'll scrap it for the time being. And that can also be demoralising for testers, especially those who sort of worked hard to sort of try and get things like automation and other types of testing in place as well to help give an overall quality of the system. And a lot of the time, when problems are found within bugs, the finger of blame goes, you're a tester, why wasn't this tested? You're a tester, you should have picked this bug up. And a lot of testers do take personal responsibility as well. I do as well, and I get frustrated with myself if something slipped through the cracks and there's been a bug. You can't test everything. You do the best you can to test everything, but sometimes it can be difficult to get everything tested. I'm really focused on cybersecurity as well now, and mental health struggles with that, because I've got a lot of friends in cybersecurity as well, and I've been to a few I've done a few talks with cybersecurity professionals as well, including the cyber women groups last year, which I really enjoyed doing. But a lot of the time, a lot of cybersecurity professionals, they have a lot of responsibility on their hands as well, and a lot of the time, a lot of the work, like software and developers, testers, support people, can go unseen. So a lot of the time, there's a culture to be always around, always available to solve problems 365 days, 366 in a leap year, to solve different problems. And a lot of the time, many cybersecurity professionals are sort of dealing with one system and another system, and sometimes the data between them and the connectivity can be incompatible with them. So you could have data from one system, you could have data from another system, and trying to solve these problems, especially with incompatibility systems, can be tiring and can be frustrating as well for them. Many cybersecurity professionals, especially during the data week, take some personal responsibility for it as well, and it can be quite draining and tiring as well, especially when a lot of professionals do work extra hours as well to make sure systems are safe, make sure secure, take measures to actually proactively solve problems. So the bad guys will sort of try and find another step to sort of hack data or steal information, but cybersecurity professionals will also sort of do everything they can to step up, try and counter some of these threats, which can take its toll. A lot of time in organisations, especially at the moment, there's a lack of budget and tech to actually help them sort out these problems and sort out a lot of these issues as well. So they can feel sort of quite drained and burned out, and many get really, really exhausted and tired as well, sometimes having sleepless nights. Some professionals taking medication to help deal with the stress. And unfortunately, 65% of professionals have actually considered getting out of cybersecurity, according to Forbes, because of the high sort of pressure, the high demand to sort of make sure your systems are secure. Sometimes working in ridiculously short-staffed teams, especially if you're in organisations which don't always understand the full value of cybersecurity, or are reactive when there's been a data breach or when there's been any problems. So for cybersecurity professionals, unfortunately, there are organisations as well which help promote mental health and cybersecurity professionals, and there's people within the cybersecurity community who actually encourage mental health and actually promote it as well. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the mental health in the tech industry as well in general. So this is just a general thing where I'm going to talk about mental health within the tech industry. So all of you enjoy using tech, and all of you have gotten involved with IT as well because you found it interesting, you enjoy it, you like the challenges of it, and you like sort of things like coding or testing or seeing if you can break software, see if you can find a piece of software, see if you can break it. A lot of the time though as well, 2/5 of professionals can experience burnout because of the workload, trying to balance everything, trying to work on one project here, one project there, one project there, and trying to make sure that you're working towards timescales as well, particularly if you're using methodologies like agile methodologies, where organisations seem to think it's a way of speeding things up, it's a way of getting things done quicker, and yes, it can do, but agile was also used to help reduce waste within an organisation, not just try and ship projects faster. And some organisations, some businesses don't always understand how agile works or utilise it to how it will work with their organisation, and think it's like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. 55% of tech professionals have mentioned increased workloads as well, taking extra responsibilities, taking on multiple projects all at once, also doing extra tasks as well to help meet the needs of the business. 24% of managers a few years ago have been trained in mental health awareness to spot the signs of people who might be struggling or might be finding things difficult. It's not the best statistic, but we have to remember that no one's a statistic. Everyone's a human, and we need to make sure as well that we have people trained to sort of recognise the signs, make organisations, create a culture within an organisation where it's okay to speak up about mental health. It's all right to sort of discuss mental health, any concerns that you have. And good organisations will sort of take these things into account to make things better and accommodate as well, so that you can perform to the best of your ability. People who may be struggling to perform don't always need performance improvement plans to actually sort of see how they can improve. Sometimes they may need adjustments to the work to make it fair for them and make it better for them to do the jobs. Not just you're going to performance improvement plan, because that's the only way we can deal with it. Talking things through people actually makes things better than having these outdated performance plans and stuff. 52% of people have experienced sort of anxiety and depression. I've also experienced anxiety in the workplace as well, and years ago I used to have sleepless nights as well, because the work was quite difficult, systems were quite difficult to understand, and there's pressure to actually try and get everything completed, especially in these sort of fast-paced environments. And 75% of professionals have reported mental health concerns from things like anxiety, depression, bipolar, and fortunately, 80% of people have said their companies have been supportive. They've sort of helped them through it. The managers have been understanding. They've actually listened to their concerns. They're the good organisations which will keep on going. And mental health is, if it's taken as a priority of an organisation's key to success, because it gives the fact that organisations that people want to work for an organisation which values mental health, which values the fact that they're employed, which shows that we're understood, appreciated and listened to. Organisations which ignore people or treat people as numbers or have a one-size-fits-all, which I've worked in organisations like that, they're the ones that are going to struggle in long term because people won't want to work for them. And word of mouth is more powerful than a LinkedIn or Glassdoor review. Telling people about what companies are good, what companies are bad, will say a lot. Will say a lot about a company. And I know people who've actually sort of turned down roles because they've heard this company is toxic, I don't want to go there, or this company is good, I'll see if there's any roles going there. I'll speak to people about there, and I'll put my name out there as well, just as interest in case any more roles come up. So another thing with the tech industry at the moment, there's a lot of cost cutting going on in organisations. They're thinking of a way to save money. They're trying to streamline their resources. They're trying to do more work with fewer people as well. And because they might be struggling, or they might be thinking, we need to follow a new business model, we need to restructure our company. So unfortunately, they're making redundancies left, right and centre. I've been made redundant before. That was a scary experience and it caused me a lot of anxiety. I bolted up for a long time and tried to sort of soldier on, when initially I thought, as my role was very, very important and I was needed, my role would be safe and I'd work at a company to sort of show that I'm determined and loyal. But when I got made redundant, all that fell out the window. And I thought, how am I going to make ends meet? What job am I going to do? I was in my mid-30s, I was in my early mid-30s at the time. Who's going to take me on without extra training or extra work? It was scary. It took a friend to actually sort of calm me down and show me that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. And looking back, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Redundancies can be scary. They can be challenging to deal with. But there is always a way that you can always develop yourself as well. Many teams as well at the moment can be short-staffed as well as a result of things like redundancies, downsizing, people resigning from roles to move on to new pastures. And it can be a challenge to actually deal with a lot of work as well, and it can be quite tiring for the people involved, especially when organisations want more work done with fewer people. So there needs to be that sort of balance to sort of say only so much work can be done. People need time to take a break. People need downtime to upskill. Otherwise, you're going to have people who are continually burned out, continually frustrated, they don't feel valued, and we're going to get mentally exhausted. A lot of organisations as well are still continuously firefighting. And how many of you experienced that in your organisations you work for? Same here, yeah, same here. Firefighting, when you try to solve every problem, it looks addictive. It's addictive. Organisations will think this thing's urgent, or this priority is urgent.
Everything is urgent.
Sorry?
Everything is urgent.
Yeah, everything's urgent. There's a huge panic. Oh, there's a bug here, there's a problem, we need a hot fix for it. We need to react to these problems. Because otherwise, customers are going to go. People aren't going to use the systems anymore. And there's a huge panic trying to get everything done. It's addictive and it looks productive, but very rarely does it solve a root problem. So, and a lot of the time, people can get exhausted from the constant firefighting that goes on in organisations, rather than trying to actually sort of take a step back, look at the problem, how can we solve this long term? We're not just going to stick a sticky plaster on the wounds. Let's actually solve this problem in the long term. A lot of the time with requirements, there can be unclear expectations, especially when organisations are trying to rush, get projects delivered out the door very speedily. Yes, speed can be important, but sometimes if you've got if sort of development and testing done is sort of quite sloppy and it's rushed, requirements aren't always met, and at the end of the day, if it doesn't meet the customer's needs, they're going to send it back, and it's going to cost a lot more to fix these problems. So that can cause problems. That can cause frustration and tiredness as well, and mental health issues. And a lot of the time, organisations label themselves as fast-paced. Yes, fast-paced can be good. It can be challenging. It can give people the opportunity to rise to a challenge. But sometimes going a bit slower can actually solve more problems because you're actually looking at things in the long term. You're not actually rushing things in the door, and the quality of work is better. I worked in an organisation, I think now about just 12 years ago. The pace of the work was a little slower than other organisations that I worked in, but with that, people felt valued. The mental health of people the morale was better because work got done. People understood requirements. We saw things being completed and reviewed, and sort of looking at how we did well as a business, and people's mental health and well-being was better because the work wasn't too rushed. People had time to upskill and to sort of work on development, to make it develop the software and test it to make sure that it was of a decent quality before it got shipped out the door. Any problems which you had, we had lessons learned, so that we could actually sort of learn how to be better next time as well. Whereas other organisations that are trying to rush through everything to get things out the door, yes, it was a challenge, and sometimes it was fun as a challenge, but when it became too much, people did get exhausted, people did get tired, and fatigue sort of kind of kicked in. And a lot of the time, people's needs aren't met, or sometimes training can be declined, or suggesting ideas on how to sort of improve development or courses that aren't always met, and people don't always have the opportunity to upskill as well, which can be demoralising and demotivating, especially when there's more work to be done, more things that need to be completed. So that can be demoralising. So mental health in tech does need to be addressed. We need to make sure that mental health is on the forefront of companies' agendas. We also want to make sure workplaces, as well as the BCS, can help address these this as well. So now I'm going to talk about promoting how ways in which we can help promote the mental health culture within our organisation. So a lot of organisations fortunately do this, which is good, and there are some really good organisations which put mental health as part of their agenda. And there are a lot of companies where people can actually feel, and it sort of shows that people care about you as a person. You're not just a number, you're actually a person, you're human, and you'll get listened to as well. And they're the companies which become successful in the future. So an organisation which addresses mental health, for example, gives people the time to sort of understand what they need, how they work as well, because everybody here, all of us work differently. I'll work a little slower at what I do, but I'll do a better job, and I'll work better probably within the mornings. But when it comes to sort of late at night, about 7 or 8 o'clock, my energy levels are a bit tired. I don't want to sit near a computer at that time, unless I really have to. I also need sort of like some time to have a break during the day, and I can't sort of sit on a computer from 7 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. I've tried it. You don't get as productive at a certain time of the day, so making sure that people are addressed and that everyone needs met having access to sort of wellness and mental health resources is also good. So organisations will have a lot of organisations have employee assistance programs which are good, and you can contact them to actually, which I've done on a few occasions, to actually discuss mental health and find ways to actually develop mental health. I've taken cognitive behaviour therapy sort of sessions online as well, which has been helpful, especially with things like sleeping and making sure I'm managing mental health. But a lot of organisations can't just rely on an employee assistance program or effectively saying we care about employees and having sort of like posters just on mental health plastered around the building. They need to create a culture where it's okay to speak up, where leaders can talk about some of the struggles they faced as well, to help them be more relatable to people as well. I've had mental health issues, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit as well. But making sure that people have, say, time off, sort of like adjustable times if they need appointments and stuff, if you need to take the children, pick the children up from school, or need to take the children anywhere, or the partners or whatever. Not just free fruit or pizza Fridays or just mince pies when it comes to Christmas time. Making sure that you have a culture of mental health as well, and that people feel are understood and accepted and valued. Making sure diversity and inclusion is something I'm also passionate about, and having people from different diverse backgrounds as well is also key to help a good and inclusive mental health policy. And being mindful of other cultures as well to help improve mental health. So at the moment, people, sort of a lot of Muslims will be doing starts of Ramadan fasting, so making sure that sort of like their well-being is taken into account as well. For example, working different hours, being understood if they need to sort of take a break or take some time off as well. I've worked with and making sure that they're sort of making sure that that's also taken into account as well, and making sure that they're understood and that they're listened to as well. So and a good organisation will actually help with this as well, and making sure that making sure that people who say from different communities are listened to and understood, their needs or sort of adjusted times as well to do work as well, and to get work done. And looking at how the work is also key as well, and making sure that your organisation is welcoming and inclusive environment. Some of the best companies I've worked for have had diverse, great range of people, where people from people from with different disabilities, the LGBTQIA plus community, and people from different walks of life all work together and are understood, are accepted and valued, and things and their different areas as well, including mental health, is all accommodated for. And I've worked in an organisation which sort of valued that, where people could be themselves. The company was sort of like an inclusive environment where any sort of prejudice or racism or homophobia was not tolerated at all. I've also worked in really bad companies where they've just treated everything as a one-size-fits-all, and all sort of like things to do with cultures and stuff go out the window. So making sure that you have diversity and inclusion is just so important. And everyone will experience mental health in different ways. we all do as well. So we want to create an environment which will support us all, but also encourage us all to make sure we take breaks when we need to as well. We sort of take time to sort of look after your own well-being as well. Making sure as well that you address skills gaps as well for the organisation. So a lot of professionals will have sort of skills gaps too. This is what we need to learn. This is where we're currently are now as well, and identify ways to sort of train people so that they can develop in their roles, feeling valued and feeling understood, and creating a culture of openness and communication, so that people can speak if they're struggling. If people are finding things difficult, then someone can actually, they can sort of speak to, they can sort of reach out. Also, keep an eye on people as well. If you see somebody struggling, even asking, "Are you okay?" and then the same second time, "Are you okay?" can make such a huge difference as well. Are you really okay? Not just taking it the same value as well, and also just tackling something. Even if I was just having a comment with you guys about you folks about the weather or how well Manchester United did in the last football. I mean, is anybody here a Manchester United supporter?
No.
No, I don't really follow football anyway, but I've got a lot of friends who support Manchester United, so yeah, I can't support Sheffield Wednesday, not that team. But something like that will help as well. Within the workplace and with mental health, you do have some legal rights as well. So with your job in your workplace, you do have a legal right to sort of say that you need help with accommodations. Sometimes, a lot of the time, known as reasonable adjustments. They're not just reasonable adjustments, though, in my opinion. There's a lot of these adjustments. If it helps one person, it will help a lot of people. For example, if people need time to visit the GP or take time to care for dependents and stuff, making these adjustments as well will benefit many people as well, and making sure that the workplace as well, if you feel better working from home some days, or don't feel comfortable going to the office, or if you'd rather be at the office more days than staying at home, these things can be taken into account. Everybody is different. There should not be a one-size-fits-all approach about reasonable adjustments in a workplace. What might be good for you, what might be good for you, might not be good for you, or me, or you. It can be very different. And making sure that with colleagues and managers, but plan ahead as well to sort of say, these are reasonable adjustments we'll do. If it means reducing your workload so you can keep things up, or if there's any sort of training that you need as well, taking this into account and making sure that your needs are understood. Having a review session as well, sort of see, checking with people how they're doing, how they're doing as well, to sort of see how they actually doing, and how the mental health is as well is also very, very important. And making sure that you have flexible hours, because some people will prefer to work different hours, not just a 9 to 5, but adjustable hours. As long as the work gets done, it should not be a problem, and people perform better when they listen to. And some people perform best in the morning, some people perform best in the late afternoon, evenings. It depends on the people. I mean, I had a colleague, he didn't start work till about 10 o'clock in the morning, but he'd sort of work until about 7 o'clock, whilst taking a break at some point in the afternoon, because that worked best for him, and he was one of the best developers I knew as well. And he took it, and he dealt with life. He always had a good sense of humour. He was good to work with. Everybody liked him because he was so easygoing and just sort of easy to talk to as well. But his hours were sort of adjusted just so that his mental health and his needs could be met. And for some people as well, don't always like sitting in a really loud office with people, oh, shut over here. And making sure that there are some quiet areas in the office where people can put on noise cancelling headphones, for example, especially if someone's, say, autistic or is neurodivergent, so sort of help them concentrate, help them study, which is not always a bad thing as well, because sometimes when there's sort of like loud noise and stuff like that, especially in the office, I find it difficult to concentrate, and making sure that people have time to actually listen and get things done. And making sure we have an action plan as well, which is adjustable. Adjustable as well, depending on how people are feeling. If people are struggling or finding things difficult at a particular time, having an action plan as well to sort of cope with that. But also for things are better, adjusting the action plan as well to help with the needs, not sort of just making sure we're all okay one month, and then setting sort of like high expectations, which might make it difficult for them as well. Making sure they have an action plan to actually help them work where needed as well. So just get the logic from there. Sleep like that. Sorry. Oh, sorry. So I'm going to talk a little about my experiences in mental health as well. So I've had anxiety within mental health, and sometimes I still do have anxiety. I want to make sure that I do a good job of what I do. Sometimes as well, if I'm told, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Or at a previous place I was told I was rubbish at the job. It caused a lot of anxiety and it caused a lot of sleepless nights. I mentioned it to the head of IT. Oh, it's not anxiety, it's just daydreaming. You're just not good at your job. That was his response, literally. So of course, and a lot of the time when trying to learn new systems or trying to work through new systems as well, especially if it's not clear, it can cause anxiety. I also worked at an organisation which sort of a big organisation where a lot of the time I was pigeonholed into different roles. I wanted to sort of prove myself. I wanted to sort of show what I could do. And sometimes there were the pressures of trying to get a lot of work done in a fast-paced environment with little where requirements were very, very sort of woolly and very unclear to start off with, where it was a requirement for interpretation and where we had to sort of test everything within specific timescales. That also caused a lot of pressures and affecting mental health as well. I've been in organisations as well where onboarding has been a bit of a challenge. I worked at one place where the onboarding was very, very piecemeal. I started an organisation thinking that this would be the next move of my career. And as soon as I got there, initially we wanted people to sort of learn everything within a week and then just hit the ground running. Even at high level, even if I've got a career, it takes time to learn systems, it takes time to learn how an organisation works. Each organisation works differently. And that wasn't taken into account. We had the onboarding training, but it was ridiculously piecemeal at times where you learn a certain bit and then you're pretty much left to your own devices that will try and figure things out. It wasn't clear what we wanted, and we worked sort of in silos within different teams. So the testing team worked in one silo, the development team worked in one silo, and we weren't properly introduced to other areas of the business. Even though I said, would it be an idea to sort of learn to understand, sit on a course to see how customers use the systems? No, it won't be that because we don't have time to do it. We just need to get things tested. I even sort of decided to look at ways to develop the systems and take the initiative to actually learn other parts of the system outside the job. No, this is what developers do. This is what database support people do. You just stay in your little role as a tester. And it was just quite. It caused a lot of stress on mental health as well. And it looked like, and the organisation, the culture of organisation at that time seemed sort of broken. It was like being in an organisation where going into a building was like being in the Mary Celeste, or going into a ghost town where there's sort of very, very few people there and you can't see people for miles. I also had mental health issues as well during lockdown as well, where initially I thought lockdown would have some benefits. For example, I could just work from home. I could just finish work at 5, cook something nice for tea, and then I could relax the rest of the evening, or just attend networking events, or just read people, or have Zoom calls with family and friends. Over time, it started to get a bit too much, especially when the pandemic was supposed to be a few months. It went on to the next year, in January 2021. I started working sort of weekends to get work done, which I didn't mind doing. And we got sort of like meal given out to the meal paid for us at the end of the night to claim back. But later on during that year, I actually started to feel quite low because I hadn't seen people, I hadn't interacted with a lot of people. The social restrictions were still in place. I just started feeling quite low. I kind of bottled it all up. I just wanted to try and be strong, but inside I was hurting as well, and it just sort of, I just couldn't concentrate sometimes. So I got to the point where I just thought, this is too much. This pandemic has just gone for a long, long while. I need to sort of speak to somebody, which fortunately I did, and that helped me sort of air some of my problems and speak to people about it, and actually help improve mental health. I've also had imposter syndrome. I mean, a lot of the time, and I still do from time to time as well, I think a lot of the time, should I be doing this? I've been asked to do something. I was invited to be on a panel for a cybersecurity conference back in 2024, and I thought, why they haven't invited me? I don't know much about cybersecurity. There's lots of other people who will know a lot more about me. I feel like a complete fraud, and it's sort of madly bad thinking I'm not good enough to do it. But a lot of the time, if somebody asks you, or somebody asks you if you want to try something, a lot of the time they've got that faith in you, they've got that respect for you as well. I've also been made redundant as well, which caused some mental health issues and anxiety and stress for me as well, especially trying to sort of navigate my finances and trying to sort things out and sort of see how I could support myself whilst looking for another role. I foolishly thought, as my job was important, I'd be safe. I've been working at a company for my life, work away slowly and surely, get a pension with the company at the end of it, which would see me to retirement. But no, whack. I found out that I was in a pool being made redundant, and I used to work sort of 12 hours a day from 8 o'clock in the morning till 9:30 at night sometimes, just to try and get work done. And as soon as I found out I was being made redundant, I thought, hang on a minute, I'm at risk here. So I decided to reduce the hours to be hours I was contracted to do, which helped my mental health. I also sort of felt, what am I going to do with the next role because I've not had experience in some things, and tried to navigate things like salary drop and stuff. I managed it. It was challenging, but it helped me to sort of realise that with any job, you're not always going to be employed by the same company forever. It can happen at any time, but it also helped me to be more resilient as well. I've also experienced bullying in a few workplaces as well, being told that work's rubbish, even writing minutes on when I was on a graduate scheme and being treated like fodder. I'm not talking about it just to sort of play the victim card and people feel sorry. It's for me, which I don't want at all. It's just saying that people can understand that workplace bullying is still sort of unfortunately rife as well, and it can affect a lot of people. I was also bullied at a previous place 9 years ago. I'm neurodivergent, and they were aware of it, but they kept on telling me I was rubbish at my job, telling me to compare the performance with the testers who joined after me. I struggled to pick up systems because the systems are difficult to understand, and I was purposely made to feel like I was useless at the job. Even sort of with them even sort of saying, "Why are you paying me so much money and you're not getting anything out of you?" That was the reality that I was at, and it was just a toxic place to be. I used to sort of go home at night sometimes just losing sleep, and it got to a point where I sort of panicked one day, rang a family member because I was really stressed out, and spoke to a few friends as well, sort of saying, I'm experiencing bullying at work, what can I do? Fortunately, I joined a union as well to sort of help me with these kind of problems, and I suggest that helped as well by giving me the reassurance that I wasn't on my own as well. Talking to some of the problems with a few friends, one of them who was a previous manager who had worked for, a good manager, she was absolutely horrified when I told her what had happened. And organisations like that don't deserve to have hard-working people working for them. And if it ever happens to any of you, speak out about it, speak to somebody you trust, because it's not worth enduring with it. It's not worth enduring it, even though you might think, oh, you look better to stay at a company. Toxic organisations like that rarely change. So now I'm going to go through an open question to discussion. So this is a sort of free open discussion. So I'm just going to ask a couple of questions now for this slide. So firstly, how can we, as the tech industry, further support those experiencing mental health issues? And the next question is, how are organisations promoting a mental health and wellbeing culture? So the floor is open for anyone who wants to sort of discuss or ask any questions. Yep.
I think flexibility is a big one.
Yeah,
so like
good.
You mentioned, flexible hours, but also hybrid working.
Yeah.
As we mentioned before, being able to work from home if and when you need it,
yeah.
But then also being able to come into the office and have that human interaction. I think giving people the flexibility rather than having a hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
In this day and age, it's almost inevitable. I think that most people would support that.
Good point, very good point. I mean, I totally agree as well. I mean, for myself, I like being in the office a few days a week, gives that a break from being at home. And when I leave the office, it helps me to switch off a little bit better as well. But also having, like I say, having the time, if you need to work from home some days as well, is also helpful as well.
Yeah. I also add to that. I think one thing we can also be doing is, I know you mentioned about not one size fits all.
Yeah.
I know there's this regular, everyone needs to work 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Or if, like you mentioned, you have the neurodiversity.
Yeah.
And you feel, I just want to work maybe 9 to 12 and then take a break, then continue my work maybe 4 to 6.
Yeah.
As long as I have my 7 hours completed, it wasn't through BG to say, okay, no, everyone needs to be on 8 o'clock and off 5 o'clock. Sometimes it doesn't work for everyone. So I think flexibility in that case will mean what will work best for this person.
Yeah, exactly.
Based on their need.
Yeah.
So for me, that would be the true definition of flexibility and inclusion. Because if this person has a challenge, they're more effective at this time. Can we work with them like that and allow them to come back in the evening to complete their job? Because if you have to force everyone to say, no, you must be there for, they're not productive, they're stressed.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes I just feel, look, for instance, my boss, where I work now, understand that when I'm probably working on developing new applications, I like to be away from everyone because I don't like to be interrupted when I'm in that code development stage. So they know that. So once they see me with my headphone, they won't say, oh, we don't allow to listen to music here. But they just know that what helped me and that's to stay in the group of what I'm writing because I'm writing the code, I don't want to be interrupted. So maybe when I'm done, then you can talk to me. So one of the things they do for me is, okay, you know what, Joba is going to be busy in this period, so be mindful asking him, if you need anything, come to me. So that she's taking that pressure away from me. If you need anything from Joba and his team, come to me, because she knows they're working on this project, they don't want to be interrupted. And like you said, people just say, oh, everything is urgent. Don't interrupt them, leave them. You come to me, then I will tell you when we can do that. So we need to be setting realistic. But at the end of the day, people work in IT and human beings.
Definitely.
They're not robots. Because that's the idea of men. They just feel IT guys are just robots. So we can just ask them anything and they know everything. We are humans, so yeah, at the end of the day. So I think that's what we can do to support people and make everyone feel good.
Definitely.
I think kind of leading on from that, the second question about promoting a positive culture. I had a similar example just this week actually. So I think it was Tuesday morning when I came into work, and we've got quite a few big projects that we're taking part with at the minute. And earlier in the week, I was working on something. I was working from home, so I was doing it all myself. And then I came in on Tuesday morning and found out that somebody else had been doing the same work, but in a different software. So then I didn't really feel very valued about that. So when I came into the office, I was kind of ranting a little bit. And my manager took me to one side and, you know, we sat down and had a friendly discussion. And after we had that chat, I felt a lot better and my mind was clear and I was able to carry on working and I was more productive. So like what you mentioned about spotting things before and then addressing those issues when they arise, rather than, you know, I could have gone the whole week still feeling like that, not being very productive. But my manager promotes that good culture of sitting down, having a discussion. And I found that to be really positive.
Does anybody have anybody online have anything thing you'd like to mention at all, or any sort of like views or any thoughts or anything?
I mean, the only thing I hate is that organizations keep coming, as you mentioned, come say, oh, mental health is support. But it's just, you go and you talk and nothing happens. So then straight away they ask you, how are you doing? I say, I'm under a lot of pressure. Oh, no, you shouldn't. You should take it easy. And then straight away after that, they say, okay, have you done this? Oh, have you done that? Have you managed it?
Yeah.
And I just hate it. I prefer not to talk about mental health with anybody.
Exactly.
Actually, the previous organization that I worked back in Malaysia, it starts from the culture. So HR, what they do is they used to have this celebrating World Mental Health Day, and then they used to give all the staff members a day off. So they say go and spend time with your family. And then there was the other initiative that they supported was each department is allowed to take a half-day leave. So they don't take it, then all the departments don't take it during the same day. So it is actually selected by the chiefs of each department. So, and then we notify each other's department that, okay, the staff members will be away. Like I was sitting in the information security risk management role. So my role is very important because I need to give approval, and we are a very small team. So we are just 3 of us in the team as well. So they always notify, like for example, all the other departments that I will be away. So if you want any urgent approval, quickly do it in the morning because the rest of the day I won't be around. So that is another initiative as well that they introduce. So half day, you just go back home. If you have family, wife, children, you go and spend time with them, take them out to a mall or restaurant, have food. Yeah, those kind of thing. And then another initiative is because Malaysia, we live in a very diverse background. So we celebrate like Chinese New Year, Christmas, or Diwali. We do have like a cultural celebration within the organization itself. So each department on its own has its funding and so on. They take their own initiative to celebrate. Or company-wide, we used to have some kind of competition events where all of us could take part and so on. And then whenever it was, promotion time during the March period or increments, salary increment announcement, we as a team or a department sometimes, used to go out for lunch together. So it was always very big kind of initiatives that they had that always kept it very interesting. And we have, I think, I also realized that, in terms of stress level, each generation, the way they take stress or what is stressful for them is different.
True.
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah. Generation wise. So I noticed that because we were few of us young, then we had interns who are younger than me, and then I had older colleagues. We just blend very nicely and had discussion, learn from each other. It was a very nice place to be actually. Yeah, and I think all those things actually help with stress.
Great stuff. So the next questions I'm going to ask how can the BCS support those who are struggling and promote better mental health wellbeing culture within the BCS and the tech industry, and how can we better help those who are struggling as well? So is anybody online?
Oh.
Is anybody online? Partly who's anyone like any suggestions?
No.
Okay. So I'll open the floor for ideas. So any ideas are welcome.
So I was actually going to ask this question.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about SMEs and I have to note down, and people have already do experiences done this.
Yeah.
Which factor is my mind was okay. So how can they support their members? So I never knew what the question was going to be asked. So as soon as you said that in my head, I'm like, okay, if we say a community of, it's a membership, I believe.
Yeah.
There should be a way we can support one another. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Maybe advertise the jobs.
Jobs, because things happen. And like you said, thank God for your friend. What if you don't have that friend?
I could have gone down a different path.
So I don't know if this BCS can create a kind of room where people can just say, I've tried to do somebody in my organization, it's not working like you said. Can I come to BCS to have? It's not like a union, but I don't know how to put it. But is this a safe place for me to come and rant and I can find the answers? And okay, you know a job opportunity, something like that. I don't know how to put it, but I think
like a Slack or somewhere that's not recruiters. People say that I've been looking for a job, and then other employers say, oh, okay, we've got a job, do you want to apply?
Something like that.
Match.
Like an open forum or like a support network, really. Like what you were saying earlier about apprenticeships. If, for example, if my company know somebody that's got good connections, you know, we can post on there and spread the message. If we had a network, a forum like what you're suggesting,
Yeah,
I think that'd be
that's great.
support.
Yeah. I mean, there is BCS has a recruitment a website called BCS Recruit where organisations can sort of place roles and stuff like that, and who are looking and that they're looking for as well. So that's one thing that can be helpful. There's also a mentoring network as well, where people can ask questions about how to upskill for different roles, what skills you need for a specific role. For example, you may sort of ask somebody who's a bit more higher up, how can I get these skills to help me become more employable and stuff in the future? So that's one thing. I think that's one example. Does anybody else have any sort of any ideas, any suggestions, any comments I'd like to make, or
maybe events like this?
Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier the last BCS event I attended was your neurodiversity presentation.
You mean last year?
Yes.
Cool. Oh, awesome.
So I came with the newest member of our team at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
Another apprentice.
Yeah.
And we actually did a presentation in our company about what we'd learned, what we picked up.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
And a lot of people seem to receive that quite well. But no, so that was really well received within our company.
Yeah.
And the things that we picked up were things that not many people knew. So like the statistics and all the different kind of ways of working.
Yeah.
So I think spreading that message and having, like I say, more events like this is a good way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Message out.
I mean, I'm planning on doing some more events as well, possibly sort of linking with different branches as well, because I think it's such an important topic not to sort of put on the back burner. And I think it's an area I'm focusing more on in the future as well. So definitely you're welcome to attend these events going forward. I mean, I'm probably going to plan a few more as well. I mean, I'm planning one with Side Women at Leicester at some point in the future, and some of the other Side Women branches, but also some IT ones as well. So you're welcome to attend or get involved if you want to as well. So I'm just going to go quickly through that. So we've mentioned sort of like mentioning things like making sure we have decent workloads, reasonable workloads as well, and sort of checking in with people, also making sure we have sort of like a work-life boundary. So you do your work, but also making sure you focus on things you want to do as well outside of work. I mean, for myself, I enjoy sort of walking, I enjoy martial arts as well, and they take up half the time, which I do outside of work as well. So a lot of the time, I'm nowhere near a computer screen. I'm not sort of sitting down and actually sort of doing something physical, which actually is better for my mental health, because it allows me to sort of reset, but also deal with a lot of stress, and that'll work different ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, and there's different ways of improving mental health as well, by making sure that you're taking things a day at a time, making sure you're eating sort of sensibly and not just relying on sort of like a lot of processed foods or just using alcohol as a mechanism to cope in the long term. Short term, it's nice to have a drink from time to time for some people, but a lot of the time it can cause problems as well afterwards. Making sure you get into a routine, making sure that you go to bed at a certain time as well, and making sure that you have the time away from a computer, away from work, and just making sure that people are making sure you're looking after yourself. So organisations will have mental health first aids and champions, which is going to be events about awareness about mental health and checking on people as well. I'm going to skip the next slide as well, because I'm going to go through it later on, but I'm going to talk about a software tool very quickly called Ripple. Now, Ripple is an online sort of tool as well, created by some cybersecurity professional named Alice Hendy. she unfortunately lost from suicide back in 2020, I believe, and she's created this tool which is free for families to download, free for educational institutions to download, which can help save lives. What it does is, if somebody searches online for sort of harmful content, for example, if somebody's considering sort of self-harming or having suicidal thoughts, it will intercept the search. It will give guided breathing exercises, reassuring messages that people care about them, and immediate access to helplines and mental health support as well. And it's saved at least 28 lives as well. So organisations can download the tool, and for a lot of organisations, it's free to download, like universities, schools, colleges. So if you know any people with children, or if you have children yourself in their schools, spread the word. It literally does save lives. And the Ripple team as well have mental health and wellbeing agenda, plus sort of events as well to help promote Mayor's mental health. And there's a support team there to help you as well. It's been saved at least 30 people's lives in different organisations like West Ham United, which Alice and her brother supported as well as different organisations as well. Some of the universities actually have it installed on their systems, and Sheffield Hallam has it installed on their systems as well. I've actually checked with Ripple themselves. No, it's a really, really good tool. And it's sort of like it can be installed on the cloud as well. And it's a very, very powerful tool as well. I actually had the blessing of Alice's father to include this talk in the presentation. So now I'm going to go on to another organisation called Hello Hope, which I attended some events last year. Ellie lost her father to suicide when she was about 4, and she decided, and she wanted to do something to help others. So she gave up sort of like a corporate career and focused on an organisation called Hello Hope, which is based in Leeds. They had an event last year which I attended, which talked about people whose lives have been saved. One of those was a rugby player who was having mental health issues, and his coach intervened by sending a message, "Hey, okay, mate, fancy a chat." He took him to sort of rugby sessions again that he used to attend, just to sort of say hello to everybody. Thankfully, the rugby player is still there, but there are some people as well whose lives have been saved, who did some inspiring presentation, talks about how their lives are saved by people intervening. Good thing about Hello Hope is there's a hope map as well, where if you just go back to the previous slide.
Sorry.
Yeah, so this website here, Hope Map, is a map of the UK where it shows people whose lives have been saved through somebody intervening and preventing them from taking their own lives, which has been inspiring. And I'll share the link for that as well. But feel free to take a picture of that if you want to as well. I mean, some of you may be aware, but not all of you. I also lost a brother to suicide back in 2009, and that's the main driving force why I wanted to do stuff to do with mental health as well. Going through that and experiencing sort of like loss of suicide, it was literally hell. But I just thought I wanted to do something to help other people prevent what happened to us as a family to happen to somebody else as well. Sometimes I don't think I've done that much really compared to a lot of people. I haven't built sort of like a platform or anything like that. I wanted to volunteer for Samaritans, but I didn't feel comfortable going on the calls and stuff like that and taking calls for people, and just didn't feel better to do it. And it's taken a while for me to actually start working towards sort of like mental health awareness, which has started just about 10 years ago. by doing talks, by getting involved in different initiatives and trying to sort of place it, make it more important. I don't think I've done that badly so far, but I still think there's still a long way to go. But I'll take it one step at a time. So I'm doing more talks and more events to help raise awareness as well, but also helping other people as well, like Alice and her family, Ellie and her family, and other people with what they're doing, as well as other mental health initiatives going forwards. I have done some events both online and in person as well, networking events as well, to help with raise mental health awareness and help show people that a better way. There is hope. There is sort of light at the end of the tunnel. These organisations here as well are some of the organisations you can find more information about mental health, but also find out about mental health in the workplace, mental health as a person or as a community as well. And there's a number of articles of interest as well, which you're free to take pictures of, or I can send the some of these articles as well after the after this event as well. So there's some really good articles here as well, and there's more articles as well going as well. Which, sorry, take a picture. So there's more articles as well. So feel free to take that as well. So if it helps all of you, and if you find them useful, tell me if you find some more articles as well, which may be interesting. Feel free to share them with me. If you find which one I may not have seen, brilliant. That'll help me reach out to more people and help me understand mental health better as well. Next slide. And there's some more information about Ripple as well, which you can take pictures of as well. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope that it's helped in some way. Make sure as well, just remember, you're important. People care about you. If you're finding things difficult, please reach out, speak to somebody. If you find somebody struggling, ask if they're okay. Ask a second time. Have a conversation. Have a short sort of chat with them as well. It could save their life. Thanks for listening, and I hope it's been helpful for you all.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Okay.
And do we have any questions from?
Just thank MD and did the session was
Oh, thank you. So yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. So it's been great. It's been great to see you all tonight, in person and online as well. And I hope you found my interactive talk useful as well. So yeah, thank you very much. So and we have some future events planned as well. So watch for space. So yeah. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.